Marks, but I'm not going to give them because I think we need to hear from George, don't you? So first, in order to administer a ceremonial but real oath of office, I'm proud to call up the Honorable Kerry Fiore, Supreme Court Judge of the Ninth Judicial District, to give the oath of office. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, George Latimer,
Do solemnly swear
swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office about which I am to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Congressman.
There is food after this, and there's football after that. So this is an incentive to snap it up, George. Let me thank you all for being here today, for taking time out of your day. There's a million things you could be doing today, and you chose to spend this time with me. I personally deeply appreciate it. I want to thank my colleagues in government, the great Senator Shelley Mayer. You had United States Senator Chuck Schumer, pumping gas in our city, and Governor Kathy Hochul and State Attorney General Tish James, and the leader of the New York State Senate, Andre Stewart Benson, and the county executive, Ted Jenkins, the 1-2 Congressman, Mondale Jones, and my good friend who wants enough railroad stations to fill a lifetime book, the Honorable Kerry Fiore, Judge of the Ninth Judicial District. Let me also thank my wife, Robin Phelps Latimer. All of this talk about how many nights and how many days and all of these things, nobody knows better than Robin does what that means. And this city is her home city. I'm very proud of my home city of Mount Vernon, and I live a life in the Alpha and the Omega of Mount Vernon and Rye, which are both my hometowns. But this is her hometown, and she gave this hometown to me. Thank you, my friend. I want to thank you all for joining me here today for the ceremony inauguration. While the constitutional requirements were met in Washington a few weeks ago, I really wanted to share this moment with you here at home, because I never forget that authority is generated by the voters from here that sends you to DC, and not the other way around. I've sworn an oath before you and Almighty God, and that is a serious thing. Too many who raise their right hand do so knowing that they will allow their civil obligations and their spiritual obligations to morph into something else if it satisfies political ideology. That ideology may be important to political leadership, it may be important to donors, it may be important to the media, but it is not the wish of the average person. The everyday American simply wants to live their life with some peace and some comfort. And they're willing to do their best for the country if that country is prepared to do their best for them. And therein lies the great crisis that I believe we face. They do not believe that their country is on their side. Some believe the great crisis includes the rise of foreign powers that are committed to the end of America, because we have a free and open society, and that is a threat to their desire to control the lives of the people of the world. Some believe it is the disparity of economic resources between the wealthy and the poor. Others say it's the war over changed culture norms, or it's about racism, sexism, and a host of other prejudices. It's about climate change, fear of random crime. On and on are the myriad reasons for our national unhappiness. For every person, there may be a unique reason for that anger and resentment that seems to fuel our public discourse. And each reason is valid to that individual who believes it. And in a world of social media, we now have the ability to fully express that anger and resentment and share it with wide swaths of other people, generating discomfort in them as well. I posit that the great crisis is the spreading virus of cynicism that discounts efforts to improve our world before those efforts can even begin. We prophesize decay and disappointment, and then that prophecy is fulfilled because we are unwilling to work to offset those disappointments. The media flocks to broadcast the failures of our world because that's news. That's what people want to see. They don't want to see any good news that balances the picture. And politicians learn that bombast and radical rhetoric will get you attention, it will get you clicks and likes, it will get you TV appearances, and from people with like-minded interests, you'll get donations, you'll get money. The tough, slow process of building something of value is undervalued. And when that something is accomplished, it's underappreciated. We respond more quickly out of emotion to those who pander to anger and fears and resentments. And thus we get the leadership we deserve. When we, myself included, when we show disinterest in the substance of things, because we give attention to the symbolism of things. You've heard speeches this very week that paint a dark picture of America. So dark that only one person can fix it. The prescription is radical surgery, changing institutions and civil protections to address the issues that they claim are causing the problems. In fact, they're playing on fears and anger. They're using it to implement a radical redistribution of power and wealth that will ultimately allow a select oligarchy to satisfy their whims and greeds and empower the few to secure a vice-like grip over the many. America is great without these charlatans. America is great because everyday people, as individuals, have combined their talents for the greater good. And we will overcome snake oil salesmen. But it won't be easy. It won't be easy. And it doesn't begin first with a policy or a program. It begins with principles that have been forged by our life experience. I've been in office for a long time. I've had successful campaigns, and that allows opponents to call me a career politician. They kind of miss the 20 years of corporate life that I lived. I'm a career salesman and marketeer. It's what I did for a living. That's what I'm still doing. It's been forged in years, some of my friends know, been forged in years of sales calls, sweating out signed contracts, fashioning and delivering creative ways to convince buyers to buy what I was selling. If any of you are involved in sales and marketing as a career, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
And you need those sales to survive. That's how you pay your rent and your mortgage. That's how you pay for insurance and utilities and put food on the table. Like every other professional, whether you're in medicine, in construction, in publishing, in maintenance, in law, in culinary arts, and literally anything you do as a living, such things you do for a living shapes who you are, and it shapes how you think. My life is leavened by a working class youth in a tough neighborhood. I went on to college and grad school education, and all of the hard knocks that life delivers, the victories and the failures. I now have 7+ decades of experience to draw from. This city has been my home now for 40 years. It is important to me. That is why I served on this city council. Josh Nathan is in this room. Jamie Jensen is in this room. Sarah Goddard. They too serve on the city council. When you serve on the city council of Rye, you serve without compensation. Not a lot of glory either. You're the guy that gets the call about the garbage that wasn't picked up today in front of their house. Jamie and Josh have to run across town and make sure that the garbage is picked up. It's council work. This county of Westchester is the county of my birth, and I've spent almost all my life here. This county is important to me, and that's why I sought and served as a county legislator for well over a decade. I served as its legislative chair, and then for 7 years as its county executive. And that understanding is why we rebuilt Memorial Field. That is why we invested long overdue money in Playland, and that is why we did cutting-edge legislation such as a clinic access law and access to counsel for indigent people facing evictions. And at the same time, we rebuilt our finances, did not raise county property taxes for 6 years. In fact, we lowered them for 4, and we reduced violent crime in this county. All of those things we did in this county that we love of Westchester County. The state of New York is a magnificent pillar of this county and of this country, central to business and arts and media and social progress. That's why I sought to serve in both houses of the state legislature, to have a voice on issues large and small. And in this room, there's Steve Otis and Dana Levenberg, who serve in the State Assembly today, and Natalia Fernandez and Shelley Mayer and Andre Stewart, who serve in the State Senate today, dealing with those very issues that I sought to help have influence in when I served in those legislative bodies. But the United States of America is greater than any city. It's greater than any county. It's greater than any state. This nation is a bulwark for freedom and democracy. We cannot abandon that. That is who we are. We are the last great hope of this planet. We will either stand up in this moment to advance the American story, or we could lose it all in the momentary allure of settling the score in a series of ideological battles. And we lose the common purpose of a nation, not a blue nation and a red nation, a nation committed worldwide to something greater. The world needs a unified America. They need an America that stands up for good and not transactional. Not to take land because we think we'd like to have it, but to follow the rule of law. Because we want the world to follow the rule of law. There's enough lawless countries out there. We can't be another one of those countries. I assert our American problems today are solvable. They are difficult. But they were difficult in 1776. And they were addressed. The problems we had in this country were existential in 1861. And yet they were overcome. The problems were immense in 1933 and a few years later in 1941. And they were significant on 9/11/2001. We had to contribute precious blood, treasure, sacrifice, and iron will But with those items, we survived, and we moved beyond each prior crisis to restore the country to success. Today's challenges are not solved by feeding anger or wallowing in resentment. They are not solved by hot rhetoric. They're not solved by partisan ideology. All of these paths are dead ends. They're dead ends. Strength of purpose, self-discipline, energy, forbearance, inclusion, listening to all voices, but synthesizing and implementing strategies to act. This is the serious level of leadership and citizenship that we desperately need.
Thank you, George.
I spent 3 weeks in Washington, D.C. It's a long way to go. I know where the men's room is. Got that nailed. I simply want to try to do in the House of Representatives what I did at Rice City Hall right down the street. What I did when I went to the Westchester County office building in 2 separate periods of my life. And when I took the 140-mile drive up to Albany, as my colleagues now do, in the New York State Capitol. We have to overcome cynicism, and we do that with a 24-hour commitment to results. Only results, concrete improvements in the lives of everyday Americans will satisfy the yearnings of this society. Electrifying the bus system reduces your carbon footprint, that's a result. Fixing the Bronx River pathway and the Spring Ridge pools is a result. People look at it and they say, government is doing something. Getting a tax bill, if you compare it to the tax bill of a year ago and seeing it's the same level of taxation, and that happens in 2 years, in 3 years, in 4 years, and yet the finances of the government are stabilized, those are results. That's how you build back cynicism. Not by playing on anger and fears, but addressing those angers and fears, and to show them that there's a path for America where we solve our problems and we do it as one nation, indivisible.